I've heard people say so many times that they grew up in simpler times, but I still live in those simpler times. This is where I grew up, and it's still where I have chosen to remain because I love the simple life. I'm the daughter of a farmer and a granddaughter of farmers on both sides. And even though I could be classified as growing up poor, I don't know how anyone could feel that they were poor, surrounded by this beauty, having their stomachs full, clothes on their back, a roof over their head, and everything that they needed. Maybe not everything that everyone else had, but it was enough. So when I tell you that I grew up with Depression era parents, it is not lip service. I'm going to give you an example of what my closet looked like growing up. I have been decluttering, as many of you know, and I'm going to get rid of many of these things after I show you today, but I want to get them on video so that I do have a memory of them, and also to show you not only what a wonderful seamstress my mother was, but all of the things that she made for me growing up, including prom dresses, graduation dresses, dresses for church, for band, for choir, all those kinds of things. So I'm going to show you a few of the styles that I grew up with. So this is one of the ones that I wore when I was probably like in sixth grade, maybe, with a shoestring front. It has hook and eye on the inside. And look at the wild coloring. It's got that nice 70s fabric. This is what I've shown you before, but I'm going to show it to you one more time because this is an example of a long floor length gown she made me. And then if you look here, I outgrew it. So she put in an insert so that I could continue to wear it because I was tall and skinny. So there's an example of one of them. I remember when she made this for me because she asked me what my favorite color was or what color I wanted the dress to be, and my favorite color was green. A lot of them have this ruffle top because that was the style back in the 80s, but she made this for me. It has a tie around the waist. And so here is an example of the dress that she made me. This one is a floor length skirt. We had to wear long dresses in band and in choir. So this is a long skirt that she made me with a tie around the waist that was gathered. This I wore as my prom dress, but it was also one of my graduation dresses. I believe it might have been my 8th grade graduation dress. And again, look at the ruffled bottom, floor length. So these were universal. I could wear them to band and choir concerts, but I could also get several uses out of them as I use them for graduation and prom. This was one of my favorites that I wore in like 7th and 8th grade. Again, the wild color, the ruffle on the bottom, and when you outgrew it, sometimes just lace would be added. And then this is the last one I'm going to show you today, another floor length gown. And on the inside, spaghetti straps, which that was risque for my mom to allow me to wear that. That's why it had a jacket. And then again, another floor length gown that I wore for high school graduation. So I just wanted to share some of those with you. I know sometimes when I talk about the fact that my mom made all of my clothes, it may sound rather foreign to a few people, and some of you can identify with it, I know. But mom made my clothes. I never felt bad about her making my clothes, even though my friends had purchased clothes for prom, for graduation. I never felt bad about it. In fact, I was excited to have her get done with my next dress. Thanks for listening to that.
I think for many people, philosophies have changed over our lives. When I grew up, if I got like a $5 bill in a birthday card from grandparents, I immediately knew that was going into my savings account. I had a passbook that I would take into the savings and loan. I could already picture them writing in that passbook and raising my balance by $5, and I was excited to see that balance go up. And then they would let you choose a lollipop from their lollipop tree in the corner to encourage kids to continue saving. And I looked forward to that. I didn't get that $5 bill and say, what am I going to spend it on? I knew it was going into my savings account and I was going to get the reward of watching my balance grow. Even as an adult, if I would get birthday money or money at Christmas time, I would maybe pay my cell phone bill with it that month. That was a present to myself that made it easier on myself. I didn't go out and purchase something with that money that I got. I used it towards my household expenses. Now, today, I think a lot of people would say that's really sad that you didn't spend your money on yourself when you got it for your birthday. But I never saw it as sad. I always saw it as the gift that it was. And I appreciated it very, very much. And I think a lot of that has gone by the wayside. We have gotten to the point that we reward ourselves a lot on a daily basis sometimes and on a weekly basis. And that never happened when I grew up. Rewards were simple back then, but they were still appreciated. I hear a lot of people talk about wishing they could live more simply, but we all have that option. It's hard because we get used to this modernized world with all of these expectations, but we still have the flexibility and the ability to choose some of the things that we want to participate in and some of the things that we don't. We may all have to work for a living to a certain degree, but by simplifying other areas of our life, we can live a more simple life, a more slow life, and it can bring us such value. Some of the values of simple living that went by the wayside in that era was living a less complicated life. Now, that didn't mean that life wasn't hard. It was hard. We did hard work. We did a lot of things for ourselves, but there wasn't as many expectations. There wasn't as much structure. We set our own structure because we were farmers and we decided what time we were getting up, what needed done that day, and we took care of business in that regard rather than having those schedules already set for us. Even though it was hard work, there was a certain amount of freedom that went with that. And I still tried to capture that feeling of freedom in my retirement. And living out here does help me still separate myself from expectations of society and make me feel like I have that freedom. We were able to focus on what was important and just basically disregard the rest. And we can still do that today. We can still focus on the things that are important and disregard the rest and find ways to cut back on that anxiety and stress that goes with those expectations. Sometimes it just takes us stepping back a step and taking a look at everything and saying, what can really go by the wayside? What is just adding busyness to my life, but not really adding value? We have the choice of making our life more meaningful by choosing those things that are important to us. And sometimes those expectations are just purchases, maybe purchases that other people are buying, or increasing the newness of our car or our phone or some of those things that everybody else has. Sometimes those silent expectations actually take away from us living a more simple life. And sometimes the structure can just be cutting back on how many commitments that we agree to. A lot of commitments are expected, but we don't have to agree to all of those. And we feel like we have to sometimes. So sometimes just choosing what commitments we really want in our life can help build some of that feeling of freedom. And then, even though we spent less money, and some people may have saw that as deprivation or it being sad that we were spending less money on other things, um, it built a sense of security. And that security also gives us a sense of freedom. All of those things together can help us feel like we're living more simply and we have more control over our lives. And I guess that's the part of simple living that I really like to embrace, is that feeling of control and yet still having freedom over my daily choices. Let me know if you have found ways that you can get that simple living feeling into your daily lives and some of the things that you're doing, maybe that you can share with others. As I looked through these old clothes and I started feeling that simple living and that freedom that I felt back then, I started thinking about why I felt like that. And that's where this video came from today. I hope that you've enjoyed this and that it's brought you a sense of relaxation or comfort in some way. If it has, please give me a thumbs up. I hope to see you in the next video, and I appreciate all of you being here and supporting this channel.